Hi everyone, it's Craig here, and in this video I want to look at how we can use Google's powerful collaborative technology to really improve how we are teaching by allowing our students to get involved in conversation and picking up on some of the key pedagogies such as correcting, etc. And we're going to do this by looking and using Google's Drive, but specifically their application, which is Google Docs. In another video, we've looked at how you can use Google Sheets for collaborative learning and teaching. And this one, we want to look at Google Docs. So quite simply, you go click New and choose Google Docs. And it's giving me a warning that this is a shared folder. So anyone who has the URL to this folder can obviously access this particular Google Doc. Then I'm just going to say OK, and it'll create the document. Right, so let's say that we've got a class and they're going to be working together in groups, and they've got to put together a group project. So this is a document that has now been created, or I could set it up originally for the class, but let's assume now this is one of our learners and they are working with the other people in their group on their group project. So they start typing away on their group project. Right, so what the learner has basically done is typed in some of the background. They project group one to the project. They know there's going to be multiple categories or sections to the project. And so they've put together the framework. So that's the first learner, and they've started to put in some of the information. Now, what I want to show you is how the other people can be invited, the other people in the group can be invited to this particular shared document, and they can all collaborate and work together. So at the moment, even though this is in a shared folder, essentially anyone who has access to this folder could see this, or I could put it in a specific folder that only allows certain people access. But this user, he wants to now share it with one of his friends so that they can now also get access to this file and edit it. Or the teacher obviously herself could set this up and put all the names here. So he types his friend's name here and he says, right, that's him. And obviously the friend who's also going to work on the project can also edit this. So this can be changed to just comment or just to view. You can type a note here, which would then send this as a shared link to the friend with a note as well, and they'll get an email if that is checked. So we're going to hit send. I'm not going to bother the note, and they're going to get a link. So at the moment, I've now shared this with someone else who's going to get a link to this. So we're going to jump across to their account to see what they're going to see. So here's Melo, and he's going to have received an email, which is an invitation for him to be able to access his document. And so he has his email, and he'll quite simply just click on Open in Docs, and it's going to open this document in Google Docs so that he can also start working on it. Right, so a couple of things to notice. So now Melo, who is the second person who's now joined as part of the project group, can see the document. They can see what Craig has already typed so far, setting it up. You can also see up here that Craig is already in the document and that he is busy in the document. In fact, if you look down here, you can even see the position that Craig's cursor currently is. So if Melo starts placing his cursor here, the same is going to be reflected in Craig's view of the document if we flip across there. Right, so this is what Craig is seeing. This is where he is. And at the top here, he can see, yes, Melo, he's joined the document. He's actually in it at the moment, and he is busy typing there. So what's quite amazing is that we can have both of them working in the same document at the same time. So they're both working in it, and so back to Melo, he's going to make some comments. So he decides, I'm going to add the third thing over here. This is going to be what will happen in the future. Jumping back to Craig's view, we see immediately it's reflected here. Melo is over here and he's just typed it in. So collaboratively, they are both being able to type at the same time. In fact, if we put our documents side by side, you can see exactly how it works. So let's work on Craig's document over here. We see on the right, Melo is already seeing that Craig is busy working over here. So we can see exactly what's happening. So Melo, who's joined the document, can see as Craig types in his document in his computer in a totally another place, he is seeing that reflected on his screen. And likewise, he too can be busy typing, and Craig would see that as well. Okay, so once again, you can see how Craig is seeing what Melo is busy typing. So this is an amazing ability for people to work collaboratively at the same time in a single document, but it actually goes beyond this. And there is the ability also to start having a conversation and making comments in this single document, as I will show you now. Right, so let's say Craig wants to now have a conversation around the document. You can also do this from within Google Docs. So they don't even have to leave. They can actually start getting involved in a conversation and talking around what they're busy doing. But what is important is that chat must be turned on. So if chat is not turned on, neither of the, obviously you can't have a conversation. What is important in order to be part of the conversation is that the users must all be signed in. So if you've just created a generic login where everyone uses the URL and it's a shared document, you will see lots of anonymous users up here. They have little animal names, but they won't be able to participate in chat. So if they can't turn chat on, it means that you haven't invited them specifically by name to share this document. So Craig is going to show the chat, and it's also important that Melo has the chat turned on as well. So let's get him to turn it on too. So Melo now has a question he wants to ask, and he simply types in the chat. Types his question. Right, you can see it here. Do you think we should cover other issues of water and ice different than erosion? He can type whatever his answer is. So it's not necessary for either of them to leave. They can actually start to talk around the document. Now, in addition to having a conversation in the document, and obviously the more users that are party to sharing this document, they can all get involved in the conversation. It's also possible to start to make comments. So, for example, Melo might highlight this aspect here and want to say something about it because he's confused about it or whatever. And the comment is this little item up here. So just go up to insert comment. Puts his comment in, hits comment. Right. Craig will see that comment appear in his document and it's highlighted. So anything can be highlighted, and he's got one or two things that he can do. So the first is simply to click on it and make a reply. So in a sense, you can even have a conversation around specific items in the document. So it's his reply, and Melo will be able to see that reply as well. So as we can see, he sees a reply, in which case he might say, oh, okay, that's cool. We don't need that comment anymore. We do need it. And so either of them can hit resolve and the comment will disappear. So there's this great way of allowing multiple people to actually build this document up in a collaborative way. And this really speaks to the digital pedagogy at so many levels. It speaks to it in the sense that we are working around conversation, whether it's conversation through the chat or through the commenting system. It speaks to the whole concept of working to not being correct, but correcting. So as we're going through things with either of them or both of them or others can start correcting the document and developing. It speaks to the whole concept of not just consuming, but also creating, which is really great. And in a big sense, I suppose it also speaks to the whole pedagogy of chaos, because sometimes it may seem chaotic when lots of people are working together, yet out of that chaos is going to emerge this artifact, this piece of work that has been a combination of all their efforts. So Google Docs provides a great way in which students can work together on something and really use the power of digital and of technology.